So, Philippe Goujon, I'm professor in Belgium, in Namur University. I teach computer history, ethics of computing, social impact of informatics and philosophy. My research topics is on governance, science and society, and I coordinate the GREAT project.
As the coordinator of GREAT, can you give me your views on what responsible research and innovation means?
The responsible and innovation is to integrate the society in the development of science, to bring reflection about the meaning of the development of science and techniques, and to integrate not a control but to co-construct the innovation, to co-construct the innovation, which means to have a participatory approach related to innovation, so that the innovation incorporates the social need, incorporates the social issue, the societal issue, and address them not with experts, but with citizens. So the responsibility innovation is innovation responsible in front of the society, which means a shift from economic sanction or economic assessment, because the easiest way is to say that innovation are successful if they are, let's say, economically successful. Here we are talking from another perspective. The success is not only economics, it is related to the society needs or society assessment, societal assessment.
And why do you think the concept is important?
Because, well, it's a complex issue, because there is a political meaning behind. We are, if I take René von Schomburg reference, he is talking about a shift, a paradigm shift. The shift is related to the process, not ethics was important in the Commission, and I wouldn't undermine the importance of ethics, development ethics in the Commission. But I think the limit of ethics was how it was perceived by the scientific community, how it was managed by most of the time experts in ethical committee. The shift now is not to make an assessment, to bring a sort of sanction, or like a sort of teacher who assess what the work of the student. Ethics was mostly, not always, but in general perceived as a sanction, a sort of break, heavy stuff that the scientist has to manage. I think responsible innovation, and again in total agreement with René von Schomburg, is to draw the attention, to shift from assessment to process, to co-construction, to integration in the process of innovation. So it's a sort of taking into account an incorporation in the process by the different community, by what we call the stakeholders, people who are implied. I think it's the real shift, but it's a big shift, because with this shift you have all a new conception of governance. An example, I don't talk about regulation, I talk about governance, which means the institutional arrangement that will allow responsible innovation to be effective, to be efficient in the research and innovation development.
And does the concept remind you of any earlier ones? You've talked about the ethics process.
Of course, the relationship is obvious, and we were discussing again in different workshops the fact that it's not new. I think otherwise you would say that every innovation was irresponsible if there is a new responsible innovation. So the fact that, of course, there was always a tension between science and technique development and society. But at the same time, what is, I think the focus, it's more a symptom, it's more a symptom than a solution. The symptom is the necessity now to fill the gap between, on one side, the people who develop innovation, the experts, the scientists, and on the other side, the citizen. We are in a year. This is the year of the citizen. I think it's perfectly adapted to this new approach where the society is not perceived as the object of the industry, or better, the subject of the industry. Society is part of the development, so it has to be integrated and to be included as something that can bring important stuff to the innovation development.
And would you say it's a global concept?
I would say the concept is global, the implementation must be contextualized. So I would say that it's like the human right. You can have a fundamental global norms, but the implementation can't be global because it's always context dependent. And I would underline in that line of thought the fact that every culture has its specificity. So to think that a norm can be acultural in its implementation, it's something wrong. The trajectory of a norm is always contextualized. So the issue is global. You can imagine as a human right a sort of responsible innovation chart, but the implementation is always cultural and context dependent.
And to make it more powerful, the concept, what do you think needs to happen next?
If somebody has a definitive answer, I think the Commission will have resolved all the problem. I think to be more effective, you have, first of all, and I think as a basic condition, and it's always the same condition, it's education, training and capacitation of the stakeholders, of the people who are implied in this, which mean citizen at large, which mean industry, which mean commission staff, an example, policymakers. So training. Secondly, and obviously, you need to have incentive, which it's very difficult to answer. What can be the incentive? And here it's a research process. You can have economic incentive. Ethics is already the case. For some industries, they are keen to now to talk about ethics because it's an added value for them. But at the same time, you need to have a legal framing. And I think when I was talking about ethics reference is quite important because now not only we shift from ethics to responsible innovation, but we shift from a conception, an example of ethics, who was a conception of assessment. In an example, in a project, you can't have a project without now filling an ethical table. So we are shifting from this position to a more process incorporated, ethics in the process. And I think the same is true for responsible innovation. If we don't have a framing, legal framing, not on the interpretation, but much more on the process needed. So in a way, responsible innovation, we can't have an a priori answer to an innovation. But if you now think about institutionalizing a sort of framing, governance framing that will bring the tools to allow to adapt those tools to a context, you can develop really responsible innovation. So training, capacitation, governance, legal framing. Well, we can quote many things, but I think they are the basic concept.
And finally, is there anything else you would like to add on the topic?
I think we can't expect from this concept every answer, since this concept is exactly what I was quoting, is a symptom of a problem. And there is a problem now. We have science that is international. We have more and more innovation. I don't say that it's all the problem, but I would say that more and more innovation are related to big industry. There is plenty of small industries that innovate, but I would say we are at the worldwide level. And the problem is that the citizens are not at the worldwide level. There is no world citizen. Citizen is always related to a nation, to a legal framing. So I think here we feel there's really a gap to be filled between, on one side, science that is international, take the internet, an example, take the GMO, take the pharmaceutical industry, and we face the problem of how to connect society, which are local, culturally specific, with those fantastic big industry, big achievement. This is, I think, one of the biggest challenge, which is not only restricted to innovation, because this challenge is true also for the relationship between the European Commission and the citizen, which is also true for many other fields.